You can see the numbers are still trickling in, but we might get underway as we've got a tight schedule to fit in today. So welcome again to the Return to Study webinar. In this session, we'll be covering frequently asked questions that we received from students prior to them getting started in their Masters in the Melbourne School of Engineering. Before we begin, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Katie Potts. I'm a Student Recruitment Coordinator in Melbourne School of Engineering, and I will be moderating this morning. Before we begin, in the spirit of reconciliation, the University of Melbourne acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connection to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Thank you for joining the webinar. We are thrilled to have audiences joining live from different time zones in both Australia and overseas. We are recording this session so that it can be accessed afterwards. Throughout the session, you can type your questions into the Q&A window, and these questions will be read and responded to by colleagues from the Future Students team based here in Melbourne. They'll be off screen for the duration of the webinar, but I invite them to turn their cameras on now to say hello. Thank you, team. The format for the presentation this morning, so you will hear a short presentation given by Professor Andrew Uy, so he might pop up on the screen now, or maybe he won't. Here he is. Following this, there'll be a Q&A with our expert panel. So in our panel is Associate Professor Shanton Chang, our current Masters of Engineering students Frank and Adrian, and alumni Cameron, who is a network technology graduate at Telstra. Before I hand over to Andrew, I just want to cover some frequently asked questions about conditional offers. So as you can see on screen, we've got some details that we hope will help answer some of the questions that have been coming through. We just want to point out that the absolute latest that you should be supplying your documents if you have a conditional offer is the 31st of July. If you have them before then, please submit them as soon as you can, because the sooner you submit them, the sooner we can get the unconditional offer out to you and we won't have any delays for you starting. If you do submit them that little bit later, we are flexible, but there may be a little bit of delay. So please try to get them in as soon as you can. And also you might have an offer that has lapsed. If you need the date extended, please email that address on the screen now. And if you have any English language requirements, there have been some revisions on this, so they're up on the screen as well. I'd like to now hand over to Professor Andrew Uy, who's going to tell you a little bit about himself and a little bit about Melbourne School of Engineering and go through some of the frequently asked questions and making the most of your studies. So welcome to Andrew.
Thanks, Katie. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to start my presentation by welcoming you everyone to this Return to Study event. Just a few bits and pieces about University of Melbourne. We are the highest ranked university in Australia. I'm sure all of you know that. Many students do come to the University of Melbourne because of our ranking. And we are highly ranked in the world, so ranked number 32 in the world. We're very proud of our ranking, and we have many academics working hard, right, in order to keep up our rankings. We are ranked number 1 in the world, and not for employer reputation. I just realized that, oh, you don't know where I'm pointing. All right, so I've called someone to help me. Number 93 in the world, sorry. Number 7 for graduate employability worldwide. And we are also ranked 250 Australian and international organizations actively recruit on campus. Sorry, I was practicing some animation techniques. As you can see, we all have to teach online now. All lecturers have to teach online, so we'll be doing a lot of videos when you join us at the University of Melbourne, especially this semester. So that was I guess, an example of some of the videos that we do. That was not a very good example. I promise you, if you do come to the University of Melbourne, there you'll see many, many more nicer videos than what I've shown you just now, nicer animations than what I've shown you just now. All right, so a little bit about Melbourne School of Engineering. We are one of the first engineering schools in Australia, started in 1861 with just 15 students. In 1942, we have our first female engineering graduate. In 1955, we built Australian first computers. In 1990s as well, the internet started, and University of Melbourne was one of the first university that premiered internet. I was a student in 1990s at the University of Melbourne, and I had my first email. I was told I was one of the first person, right, to have emails in Australia. And also in 2011, we have our engineering courses were the first one that's being accredited by EuroAce. Prior to that, it was difficult for graduates in Australia to get jobs in Europe, but since 2011, since we have been accredited by EuroAce, many of our graduates are starting to get jobs very easily in Europe. We do have 11,603 students in the Melbourne School of Engineering and IT, so 11,653 engineering and IT students. 47% of which are undergraduate students. We have about 5% that's research students, and 48% are graduate master's level or above students. Right? We have students from all over the world, from 102 different countries, and I would like to, we are proud to say that approximately 33% of our students are females. We want to try to get the number higher, but that's a good number compared to the rest of the engineering IT schools around the world today. We have a network of 32,529 alumni. So in about 1 or 2 years' time, when you finish your degree, you are gonna have, you're gonna be part of this big network of alumni from all over the world, from over 110 countries. Our lecturers and researchers working at the university works on many, many different projects. We have internet, we are leaders in internet technology and communication technology. We are proud to have the first bionic ear invented by academics at the University of Melbourne, now on sale now. So people whose hearing is not too good can buy this device and make them be able to hear again. Nanotechnology-based drug delivery is something that we are working on. Currently, patients, all the medication that people use to treat cancer attack every cell in your body. So that is why sometimes people lose their hair when they go to cancer treatment. But with this new drug delivery technology, it will only attack the cells that are sick and very in targeted areas as well in your body. So hopefully it will lead to better quality of life to cancer patients. Global water resource management is one of the big areas. Bionic eye, we can make people who are vision impaired, right, see very clearly again. Carbon capture and storage is a big area as well. So these are our iconic projects that some of our academics are working on. Now, some of the projects that I have been involved with since COVID-19 occurred, we have been approached by doctors looking at technology to protect health professionals from patients who cough. So this particular simulation that you see here is of a patient who's sleeping and who let out a cough. So they are trying to put together some kind of isolation hood, right? That if they cough, right, that it's not gonna, affect any health patient who might be treating this particular patient. This is one design of the hood, right? And then this is another design, testing a few design of hoods to make sure that, to protect the health workers from people who are coughing. So we are in semester 2, many of our teaching activities will be online. Lectures, tutorials, and labs and practicals, we have one whole semester of learning how to do all these things online now, and we will be a lot better in second semester. We have learned a lot in first semester, and we will make sure we'll do a lot more, improve on our techniques, right, in second semester. But it's not only all the teaching related stuff that's online. We have our internship. We have learned to do online internships as well. So we have source internships from many companies around Melbourne, right, which you will have access to. That will be online. So you have access to that. Extracurricular activities will be online as well. The clubs have activity. All our student clubs have got activities online. We have learned how to do networking events, right, online as well. So all those things will be very effective and will be better in second semester. Melbourne University itself is treating the university as a virtual campus, and there's a lot of things that we have learned in first semester that will make us do things better in terms of community engagement, user guides, and how-to videos and support online. Second semester. Some of the questions that some of you have asked about return to campus, we are slowly getting students to return to campus. There are some courses that just have to be taught face-to-face, and those courses will be taught on campus. But many of your courses will be online. We don't want students to spending time unnecessarily on campus or commuting to campus and take public transport. We want as few students as possible, right, to go to practice physical distancing and make sure that you're all operating and studying, right, in a safe environment. If you're not in Melbourne, you don't have to worry. We will you can still take your courses online, and you can continue your studies online until travel restrictions are lifted and the university advise that you can come to Melbourne. So online teaching will continue as long as necessary for students who are unable to return to campus. So don't worry if you can't come to Australia or into Victoria, you'll still be able to study all our courses online. As far as semester 1 2021 is concerned, it's still a bit of unknown at this stage, but we are hopeful that all of us will be back on campus semester 1 2021. Some of you have asked about deferral. You have a few options. We would prefer you to all take option 1, which is commence your classes online and continue study with us throughout the second semester. We have learned a lot. There'll be your courses will be so much more exciting and better online in second semester. However, what you can also do is you can commence your classes online, but if you do not feel that it's suited to you, online learning, you can quit your course without any penalty, quit those subjects without any penalty up to 4 weeks into the semester, or you can defer now as well at no extra costs. And the scholarships, if you're on a scholarship offer from the University of Melbourne, your scholarship will be deferred too. We do not have any official word on post-study work visa, but the Education Minister is still considering this option, and we are expecting an announcement in the next coming week. So check your email, check our websites. There'll be more on this matter, this particular issue in the coming weeks. Those of you who have, you can also go to Stop One, to that particular website, http://students.unimel.edu.au/stop1 for any administrative and information studies services, enrollment services. If you want to know how to enroll, go there as your first point of call. Skills and development services is there too, and any other support services. We have our welcome and orientation session on 27th of July, which is probably just over a week away, where you can meet your course coordinators, meet your students, other students in course, and you can join student clubs and societies as well. So I hope to see all of you again, right, on Monday, 27th of July. Okay, it's now time for me now to introduce you to our student and alumni panel. I think we have first like to introduce Associate Professor Shanton Cheng, who is our Associate Dean International. Is a colleague of mine. Shanton, can you, I don't think I can see you yet, Shanton. Can you?
Hi, everyone.
Okay, hi, Shanton. And the other person I would like to introduce is Cameron McNeil, which is our Master of Engineering Mechatronics student. He graduated in 2018, I believe, and is now a permanent staff at Network Technology graduate at Telstra. Hi, Cameron.
Sean.
The next person I would like to introduce is Frank Vera, who is our Master of Engineering student. He's doing civil with business, and he's a current student at the University of Melbourne. Hi, Frank.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
And we have Adrian Koo, which is a Master of Engineering Mechanical with Business. Now, I do like the course Adrian has taken because it's what I teach, and I'm a mechanical engineer, so I think she's chosen a fantastic course. And Adrian, hi Adrian.
Everyone.
Okay, so I guess I just want to ask, maybe I'll start with Cameron. Can I get you to just introduce yourself and tell the audience what you have studied and what you're currently doing?
Hi everyone, I'm Cameron McNeil. I was a student at University of Melbourne doing a Bachelor of Science starting in 2013. I graduated that in 2016 and then moved on to do the Master of Engineering with the Mechatronics specialisation. I graduated that in 2018 and then became a Networks Technology graduate at Telstra starting in 2019. And I've done, just over 18 months at Telstra and sort of, gone through a couple of different roles there using what I've learned at uni and other skills that I've picked up along the ways. So.
All right. Thanks, Cameron. Frank, would you like to tell the audience a bit about yourself and what you have been doing?
Yeah, of course. I'm a student of my last semester of civil engineering in the program Civil with Business specifically. I am an international student, as most of our audience today. Originally from Peru, and I'm not working currently, but I'm doing some sort of volunteering that I could got from the industry and other organizations. And I do have some professional experience that I gained on different projects in South America, where I am from. And I'm happy to be here to share more experiences.
Thank you, Frank. Adrian, a bit about yourself and your experience.
Yeah, so I did my bachelor's degree at Melbourne, just like Cameron. I did a Bachelor of Commerce though, and did the engineering breadth track, and then started my mechanical engineering master's last year and took 6 months off between my two degrees, which was quite nice to have a break. But yeah, I've really been loving engineering at Melbourne. Had a few opportunities to get involved in panels like this. I also did a cool trip to Nepal last year with Engineers Without Borders, and we did some projects based on mechanical and human-centered design, which was really fun. So there's heaps of opportunities like that to get involved, both outside of the university semester and classroom, like Andrew mentioned. So yeah, very much enjoying it and happy to answer any other questions later.
All right, thank you, Adrian. Shanton, can I just get you to, Shanton's our Associate Dean International, so he's got many years of experience, right, with international students' experience overseas and also inside University of Melbourne. Do you have advice on how to be successful in graduate studies at the moment, Shanton? And I guess maybe also your thoughts about, studying online at the moment, given the current environment?
Sure, thank you, and hello everyone. I join Andrew in welcoming all of you to the session. I think one of the things that I've learned with the current situation, the current pandemic, is I actually spend a lot more time interacting with my students than I did when it was face-to-face. Because in the face-to-face, you might have drop-in sessions, you see the students 1 hour a week for lecture, an hour here, an hour there. But with the online, I'm constantly in touch with students who reach out. And so one of the things that I say to students is that actually the opportunities have increased. All of us are sitting at our desk, so we are a captive audience in some sense. And I know that when students email me or send me a message via the learning management system or through LinkedIn, I unfortunately am still responding to emails as late as 11 at night. In fact, I think I was having a conversation with Frank at one point after one of the webinars that we had in an evening, and we just continued chatting. So actually, we are working harder and working more closely with our students. whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I'll have to let you know in a few months when I've had more white hair. Andrew?
That's what I find as well. I think with face-to-face, it was maybe rather simpler because you see your student face-to-face. But now with online, right? We have to check LMS, we check LinkedIn, we check, and some of us even check Facebook, right, in order to try to get. So sometimes it can get confusing what platform you answer which question in, and I find that very quite confusing. I think maybe while we are on topics of online learning, maybe I can get to Cameron and Adrian. Cameron first, and maybe Adrian, about your thoughts about. Okay, so Cameron, sorry, you're not. No, I mean Frank. Sorry, Frank and Adrian, right, about your experience with online learning at the moment. Maybe I'll go to, can Adrian, do you mind getting this question first? How's your experience in online learning last semester?
Yeah, it was good, and I think definitely challenging in the beginning, especially with engineering. I do mechanical, so quite a few subjects had like labs or workshops that we couldn't run in person. But the faculty was very quick to adapt. So in the instances where we still had to do labs, they'd pre-recorded an instructor in the lab running you through it as if you were there, or in some instances had a live Zoom with a researcher in the lab. So you were essentially watching on as the experiment was done. And we still got given all the data and had to write up lab reports and do analysis as we would have if we were in person. So we still got all the learnings from it. And I think some of the lecturers were quick to point out we had some advantages because we could take part in labs by sitting in our pajamas at home as opposed to having to wear safety glasses in person. So definitely like a change, but I don't think it changed. It didn't affect the content of the courses we learned or how much we learned. We just had to learn it differently.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about all the safety requirements in the lab, do you?
Exactly. You can watch coffee while they run an experiment, so it's not too bad.
Yeah. Having said that, I think that many of our students have actually told us that they do like to do labs face-to-face and having to tinkle around with the experimental equipment. So we are working as hard as we can to try to give students who want to come into the lab opportunities to come into the lab. All this is just subject to approval when in second semester, but that is something that we are definitely considering. Frank, would you like to tell us a little bit about your experience with online learning in first semester?
Yeah, it's really actually similar to the case of Adrian. I was taking my custom subject that required to build a lab model of pipe shacking construction method, but we just limited our calculations, everything to be numerical, and we used a software that is provided from the University of Melbourne as well. So, but the other side of the transition to online campus was the fact of being at home all the time. I think that was one of my most challenging times. To get a routine done and be accustomed to working at home, it's been a little bit challenging as well. But yeah, I could manage to set my own routine, follow my schedule, and be in contact with friends. That is very important to keep up our energy and keep up active as well. Trying to exercise every day, or not necessarily working out hardly, but just something enough to keep our health good.
Yep. Yeah, we all had to adjust in semester one, but it's not. I think myself and probably students that I've talked to realize it's not too bad. And I'm sure things we will all adjust and improve our adaptability to the situation, right, in semester two. Let's move on and talk about internship, I guess. And I believe, Cameron, you've got lots of experience with internships. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your experience with internship and how did you get your internship? What advice do you have for students who are looking for internships? Cameron?
Yep, sure thing. So I was lucky enough to pick up an internship at Telstra between my 4th and 5th year of my master's. I went out and sourced that internship myself, but when I did it, and I'm pretty sure it's still the case, that there is the internship subject and support given by the university to help you go out and source an internship and sort of help facilitate sort of going through that process. For me, yeah, I sourced it and went through it, but have spoken to a number of other people that have gone through the other channels. And it sort of just gave me the opportunity to use some of the knowledge that I've learned through the years of uni in the real world students, and sort of give me that experience in the working environment for 12 weeks over the summer break.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron. Frank and Adrian, have you had experience with internships before?
Personally,
No?
I didn't have an internship experience.
Okay. Not yet, but you will be looking at the internship subject, right? In second semester, I'm sure, in the future.
Is there actually another way to complete our EPH? That's a requirement to graduate. And we have LICA and the internship as well. I'm doing the LICA, right. And it's almost done.
Oh, okay. Okay. Shanton, I understand that you've got a lot of experience with internship for international students as well. And I think you've been working hard to ensure that many of our international students have opportunities for internship in their own countries as well as in Australia.
Yeah, Cameron and Frank alluded to this. We try to encourage our students to have as many opportunities outside the classroom as possible. So there are different ways to do it. We encourage our students to find internships that we will support as well, and we obviously will have to approve it and then support it, but we also go out and find a lot of internships that are offered to students, both locally in Australia but also internationally. Of course, with COVID, it's harder for students to travel across the different countries. Before the lockdown, we were sending students to Berlin, to Singapore, to China, and it was very exciting for the students. However, with the lockdown, we're now doing international virtual internships within the time zone, so that students can still interact with multinationals across the world, or rather in the Asian region. Because of time difference, we don't want you to be doing an internship where you have to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning, for example. So we care about that. But at the same time, as that number of students doing those are increasing, as Frank was saying, there's also LICA, which is the Leadership in Community Awards, which is really around things like even exchange studies, looking at things like volunteering and looking at getting involved in projects outside the classroom. A number of our subjects also have project-based with working with industry partners, for example, especially in chemical engineering and parts of IT, where there are student projects that are based with industry. So there's a lot of opportunities there that we try to encourage both our domestic and international students to get involved in.
Thank you, Shanton. Thanks. Okay, thanks, Shanton. Thanks for sharing your experience with us. I have another question here about your best experience in the university so far. Right? So I'm sure all of you've been at the university for some time. Would you like to share, what's if you were able to name, 2 or 3 of your best experiences, that things that you'll carry with you, right, to, into the future, things that you will remember and tell your grandkids and grandchildren, right? What would that be? Maybe we can start with Frank. Would you like to share with us some of your best experiences so far?
Yes, sure. Well, I have 2 most remarkable experiences at uni that happened last year.
Yep.
And one of them is winning a competition of dancing. I love dancing, so I participated in a competition among Monash and University of Melbourne. It was different styles. I participated in salsa and bachata styles, and I won 2 medals, which was amazing, because I was representing University of Melbourne, right? So it was a great experience. Also,
do you still do that? Are you able to do that online now?
Yes, that is something that I will encourage the audience as well. We are providing classes because I'm part of the committee as well, so I will give some marketing at this point. And yeah, another experience was to be part of the Regenerating program. The Regenerating program was part of the activities that Engineers Without Borders Club does. I think Adrienne will know a little bit more about the Engineers Without Borders because I heard she's been more involved on that. But this experience was really amazing because it gave me the chance to visit several places in Victoria. Basically, this program is all about sharing workshops and tutoring to students, school students, on different schools around Victoria. That was an amazing experience. All was within 1 week, and I could make a lot of friends, and it was one of my best experiences at Journey.
Yeah, it's great to see that you can come from halfway around the world, right, and meet so many new people and share so many of your experiences, and and make your presence felt in the Australian community. It's great to see that. Adrienne, would you like to share some of your best experiences with us?
Sure. I think one of the things I spoke about before, and Frank mentioned Engineers Without Borders, I did my trip to Nepal with them in the middle of last year, and that was really quite mind-blowing. I did the trip actually just before I started my master's, so much like you guys on the webinar now, I started Sem 2 last year, mid-year entry, and having that international experience and seeing where engineering could take me was a really cool perspective to have before I'd started my degree. And I met a few people from Melbourne doing engineering on that trip as well, and people doing engineering at RMIT and stuff. So it was really cool to build up some uni friends at Melbourne and also more widely. I think one of the other strong memories I have, and it's not particularly a big event, would be a lot of moments where I've been stuck studying late at night in the engineering lounge with a group, and it's like 9 p.m. and you've got a bit of work to do, and it's quite like a really nice bonding moment that I think few other degrees and cohorts have. And you all go get a late night coffee or a KFC box or something. KFC is really close to uni for those who are interested. But it's quite an awesome moment of bonding, and you're doing some really challenging but rewarding work, and that's probably a few of the moments that have stayed with me more than anything particularly big. So and that's definitely one of the things that has been hard to I suppose miss out on this sem, but also everyone in the engineering cohort I found is very open. So I've had Zoom study sessions and stuff with those kind of friends this sem because we can't meet in person, and it's been just as good. So I think having that cohort in Eng has been really awesome. Yeah. Those would probably be two of my biggest takeaways.
Good. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we do have KFC in Melbourne. In fact, KFC is quite big in Victoria, and I do like sharing KFC with my fellow colleagues as well. Maybe we can share KFC with the students here one day, right? KFC. Cameron, would you like to tell us about your best experiences so far?
Yeah, sure. To follow on from that last point, I think sort of the social side of everything was one of the big things for me. Just being able to, you're with people day in, day out, 5 days a week. I know it's a different situation now being that online and removed, but being with everyone and that you're in study together, you're in the whole journey beside each other, going through the same hardships, and understanding what each other goes through, sort of pulls everyone a lot closer together. And so as you become more specialized and the cohorts get a little bit smaller, it does become more important and more meaningful to be able to lean on these other people that are going through everything with you, and being able to spend those late nights getting through work, and just having fun while learning along with that. The other thing for me was being involved with the clubs and activities around uni. There's so many different things you can get involved with, and it sort of allows you to not be in engineering all the time, that you can go out and socialise with other people outside of engineering, and sort of get a feel of what different disciplines are actually doing. And so, yeah, for me, it all came back to sort of the social aspect with, having people around to share the journey with.
Yep, and I'm sure all of us are looking forward to, the time when we can share, to socialize and interact with people again. Katie, you're up here. Is there any trending questions you would like to
Yes, please.
ask? Yep.
I'd just like to go back to the internship, sorry, to loop back around.
No problem.
There's a question and a few questions asking about how many subjects do you need to enroll in before you can do the internship subject, and is the summer break too soon to do an internship if they're starting now?
If you start, I believe it is. I think you need to have at least completed 50 points. If I'm not mistaken, I have to look at that. Is it 50 points?
That's absolutely correct. So that's equivalent to about four normal subjects. So you would have, most students will apply after they've completed their first semester. So if you are doing, the thing is, students do internship throughout the year, so you don't have to wait for summer to do it. You can do it in semester 1, semester 2, or the summer semester. So for students who are joining in semester 2, it's very slim chance that you will do it in summer. It's more likely that you'll do it in semester 1 or possibly semester 2, or even the following summer as you finish up your study.
Yeah, and I think I do advise, if you are new to Melbourne, it'd be nice to have some time in Melbourne first, experience Melbourne first before you embark on the internship, because it gives you time to get used to the culture, the way you interact with students. I mean, it is a little bit experience from other parts of the world, so you'll be more advisable for you to immerse yourself in the community first and then experience internship. All right, I guess Katie's gone away again, so I suppose we can push on. There was no other training questions, so I'll press on. Another thing that I think many students want to know is working while studying at the same time. All right, do any of you, Cameron, Frank, or Adrian, do you have part-time work for money, I guess, that you're doing at the same time that you're studying? How do you manage your time? Any tips and tricks on how to earn money, good ways to earn money as a student? Okay, I think, Adrian, would you like to get this first? Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I worked part-time at a mining company. So it's a mining exploration company, and I do a bit of combination of both my eng and my commerce background. So I do some like engineering scope work, risk assessment and modeling for them, but I do that 2 to 3 days a week. And it's made me very efficient with my time. They always say the less time you have, the better you are at using it. So I found it really good to kind of be able to apply my learnings in the real world. And been lucky to have a good boss that lets me kind of explore different things I want to. And I know I have other friends who are doing eng now who also have part-time work 2 to 3 days a week and at places like Arup. And I know they've had success in applying because the Melbourne degrees are viewed so highly. So employers really do like taking on eng students from Melbourne. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I think it's a great way to kind of change the pace of your learning at uni and have 2 different kind of ways of being intellectually involved. Of course, it's very dependent on people's ability to manage time, and if you're commuting or anything, that does create difficulties, but I've really enjoyed having it there alongside my study.
Okay, Cameron, I think you wanted to say something, and then Shanton after.
Personally, for me, I didn't have a part-time job during my study, partly due to the fact I had a whole lot of extracurricular activities that took up extra time outside of uni. But also I sort of went in the approach of I'm a full-time student, going under a full-time workload as a student. Doing something on top of that's going to really put the pressure on me, push me up to sort of a 1.5-ish workload per week, and sort of that was sort of, I could have done that for a period of time, but over the whole, or over an extended period, I would have found that potentially not sustainable. So yeah, I went with the approach of not having a job. But I do know a lot of people that have managed their time effectively, and have found the balance well between their job and their studies.
Thanks, Cameron. Shanton, you want to say something about international students?
I agree
Possibly?
with,
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with Cameron, because I think one of the things is every student will have to find their voice and what they're comfortable with. So whether they're going with a lot of part-time jobs or a lot of volunteering or leading student clubs, you can't do everything while studying full-time, right? So I think one of the key things is finding that balance, and each student will be a bit different, but the thing is, at Uni of Melbourne, you have all these opportunities, so you have to pick the right balance, as Cameron and Adrian rightly pointed out. You have to think about which one will suit your needs. But the whole point is, through all these other activities that are not in the classroom, they're absolutely essential if you're going to enhance your employability, because it's about getting those transferable skills around managing time, around communication, working across cultures, and collaboration, which are absolutely essential for that first job interview and your ongoing career as well. So find your balance.
Thanks, Shanton. And I understand also that all international students many of them do work in Melbourne as well, right, Shanton? And they do. I agree with Shanton. You have to find a balance. But many international students do find jobs, and they in all places, right? Part-time work in all places in Melbourne during their studies. Shanton, do you want to comment on that? Yep.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Students have to be aware of their visa requirements, which allows them to work certain hours of 40 hours per fortnight during the semester time. That's relaxed when they are not studying during the break. But again, it doesn't mean that you have to work the maximum, because you need to find a balance, right?
Right.
So don't get too focused on just working the maximum. It's about what skills you are learning that will help you in the long term. So it's not just internships that you can interact. So for students who are interested in student clubs, rather than going on the internship, it doesn't mean that you know nothing about the industry, because at MSE, the Melbourne School of Engineering, we bring companies onto campus nearly every week to talk to students about expectations. What do you need to do to apply for jobs? What the companies are looking for? How to build your CV? How to build a LinkedIn profile? Make sure you go to those as well. They're absolutely crucial. They're not part of assessment and exam, but they're absolutely crucial for your future. Thank you.
Thanks, Shanton. I actually have a question that was sent to me, and I think it's trending in the chat rooms at the moment. And it's about lecture times and time zones. So my understanding is live lectures at the moment. Live lectures, things that we do, not just lectures, that things we do synchronously, things that are sort of live over online and live, right? Scheduled at the Melbourne times, right? So typically Melbourne lectures will start between 9 to about 2 or 3 o'clock, and then usually we have workshops, labs in the afternoon Melbourne time. But I have to quickly add that all our sessions are recorded, so you can watch them at your leisure if you are not in Melbourne at the moment, at your own local time zone. So you don't have to worry. All right. So if you want to be live and interact with lecturers, they are usually, because we work 9 to 5, typically in Melbourne, we will be operating on the Melbourne time zone, but things will be recorded.
Can I add, Andrew,
yeah, sure, Shanton.
That there are definitely 9 o'clock tutorials, but you don't have to join the 9 o'clock tutorials. Go for the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Melbourne time tutorials. Yep. I know that we have tutorials up to 7 or 8 o'clock in the evenings. So you can always opt for the later tutorials. I think in terms of the lecture, most of the lecture starts from around noon time. They're trying to move all the lectures later, so that the time difference, even if it's 4 hours, it's kind of like 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. But with the tutorials, we definitely have tutorials starting from 9. Don't join those ones if you don't want to be up for a tutorial at 5 o'clock in the morning. So just join the later ones. You have those options.
Yeah. So that's right. So you can always choose, right? Lectures and tutorials that are, I guess, in later part of the day in Melbourne time and earlier part of the day in your time, right? Because or we are usually, because of where Australia is located in the globe, we're usually a few hours ahead than the rest of the world. Okay, so I believe we have probably time to have one more discussion around, around being back on campus. Let's be positive and talk about, what do you look forward to when you're back on campus, right? So what's the when we are allowed to go back on campus, do you have any places that you're looking forward to go to, any food outlet or location you like to sit and eat in? Maybe Frank, do you want to talk about this first? What's the best part about the University of Melbourne that you're looking forward to most when we go back to face-to-face learning and teaching?
Yeah, that is an easy question. Definitely it would be dancing. I'm part of the MUDC, Melbourne University Dance Sport Club, that have classes every week, and I was part of them every week as well. And that is the thing that I'm missing the most. And this is probably the best chance that I have to share with the audience that this club is also giving classes online. And it's a good opportunity to make friends as well. Like, we are having meetings every 2 weeks, every month, to introduce ourselves to new members. So I really encourage you to join this club. And it's very beginner friendly. You don't need to know how to dance. You will learn on the way, as I did. And yeah, I think Katie is going to share to all of us the website link so everyone can get in.
All right. Thanks, Frank. What about you, Adrian? What do you look forward to most coming back onto campus?
Yeah. Luckily, the Eng building is also next to House of Cards, which is a very good coffee spot. So my usual morning order was a coffee and a slice of banana bread. So I will be very excited to order that again. I think, yeah, like I mentioned, a lot of the good times that I've had have just been like in the engineering lounge with friends. So just actually being able to go back to the Eng building and mingle around, and then, if it's a nice day, go sit on South Lawn for a bit. Also, which Frank mentioned, it's been hard to have a routine at home and like making sure we can enforce that. So I never thought I'd say this, but like really miss having a uni library to go and study in. So looking forward to having some designated study space and like some awesome facilities there. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Cameron, what about you? What do you remember most about the University of Melbourne?
For me, yeah, probably the engineering lounge. Many good times had in that place and late nights. But also once we get through sort of these next couple of months through winter, being able to just be out on South Lawn with friends and have people around and enjoy some nice lunches and free time out in the sun, sitting on some grass around campus.
All right, thank you, Cameron. I think they have. I have one question here that is apparently trending in the chat rooms about students having to finalize their specialization for engineering or IT degree. Typically, you choose your discipline when you enroll into your master's program. But in the final year of your degree, usually you have choices to choose. You have electives that you need to choose, and you have basically 1 year of core subjects. Essentially, generally, most students will have 1 year of core subjects. You don't get to choose those subjects, and then in the final year of your degree, right, you get a feel of all those core subjects, and you typically have a chance to specialize in some of those core areas that was introduced in the first year of your degree. So for engineering degree, and I believe for IT degrees as well, Shanton, you can jump in if you want to have something to say. But for engineering degrees, you usually have in the second year or the final year of your degree, you get to choose some kind of electives that will allow you to specialize in certain areas. Right, Shanton? Is that
Not
sort
so
of?
with the IT degrees. I think they are completely different degrees. The Master of Information Systems is very different to the Master of Information Technology, which is different to the ME Software and the Master of Computer Science. So you kind of need to know very clearly which area you want to specialize and focus on, because they are quite different disciplines in some ways, although they are all IT. And I'm sure that we can answer those questions if you're not clear on what it is that you want.
Okay, thank you, Shanton. Is there any maybe I guess I could ask a few questions about clubs and societies. Frank, you mentioned that you are part of the dancing club. Is it is there any other clubs that you belong to that you that has got sort of enriched your life at the University of Melbourne?
Yeah, that's one of the amazing things that the University of Melbourne give us as students, right? And yes, I've been part of the Melbourne University Dance Sport Club, most known like MUDC. And also, well, I think I gave you enough information about MUDC, but Engineers Without Borders, that's another very amazing club that gave me a lot of opportunities. As an experience, I did tutoring for math specialists to a school student. It was an exciting experience as well. Very challenging because the level of the education in Australia is very high, and it was a little bit challenging at the beginning. But then I'm really passionate about physics and math, so it was kind of enjoying for me. We also have clubs for civil engineering, clubs for construction, for sports, all sort of sports. And we also have the club for playing soccer. That's another activity that I do besides the university activities. And yeah, that was amazing. That's also one thing that I'm missing a lot. And yes, I think that's all my experience on clubs and societies.
Frank, can I just ask you one question about transition from being in Peru, right? You're from Peru, is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
In terms of studies, right? What do you find most different between studying in Peru, right, and studying in Australia, in University of Melbourne? What's the biggest difference? How did you adjust between the academic system over there and the academic system in Australia?
Well, first of all, the education system in Australia is very more organized than in my country. And so that made easier my transition from my country to Australia, the style of study. And it was challenging at the beginning because of the language. But then as long as you are getting involved to activities from not only the tutorials, lab activities, lectures, also from societies, external societies, doing volunteering, you will improve a lot, and that gives you courage and motivation to keep working, to keep learning. That's one important thing for international students. That I bet there are a lot of people hearing that in this audience.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Katie, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a time warning. It's 10:55 and I know Shanton has to continue on with his day. I'm just wondering if the rest of the panelists might have 5 more minutes they can give, but we might let Shanton go to his next meeting while we ask a few more questions.
Bye, Shanton.
Thank you. Bye. See you all. Bye.
Thank you, Shanton. Yes, sorry to interrupt, but we do have a lot of questions around how people have managed their group work. So obviously you've spoken about the awesome engineering lounge, but how have you managed that in a virtual environment? And Cameron might be able to give it from a workplace perspective as well, how he's managed his workload with his with Telstra. So I'll leave that for you guys to answer.
Okay, group work. Adrian, would you like to get that first, or?
Yeah, sure. So I think as I mentioned, some of the labs that we've had to do, we've been put into groups. So often those are randomly selected by the demonstrator. And in the case of when we're Zooming, which is often in shoots and labs, you'll get put into a breakout room and you're on camera too. So you are just chatting with the people as you would normally in person. And then flows on as would normally, like you'd create a Facebook chat, or if people don't have Facebook, Discord's becoming very popular. It's like a messaging service, so you can stay up to date, say on an assignment, create a shared Google Drive with your work. So it doesn't actually really, I've found in the last semester, didn't really impact the experience at all. If anything, makes it a lot easier because it's easier to find mutual meeting times because people aren't, going up and down. I had a friend who had to get a train for an hour each way to go to uni, so that makes their life a lot easier, not having to come in for group work. So if anything, it's made collaborating a lot more convenient, I think, because people can use their time more efficiently. So I don't think it's had any adverse impact at all. At least in my experience, which might just mean I'm lucky. Yeah.
And would you want to comment on group work in your experience, your group work experience at the University of Melbourne?
Yeah, I'm actually very impressive how effective I've been by doing work with friends. Mostly, the most effective number of members would be 4 people, which we can work very easy. And one good point is that everyone has more flexibility in terms of time, right?
Yeah.
As Adrian said, but also platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams are helping a lot currently. I can share a model that I'm doing in ANSYS, for example, to my friends, and they can give feedback to it very easy, and no matter where they are. That's something that I didn't expect at the beginning. I was a little bit scared, to be honest, but it's been working very, very well.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Cameron, would you like to share experience about group work and possibly how does group work help you when you are in the workplace?
For us, we've moved to just purely working on Microsoft Teams. So very much the same as the study that you'll be undertaking, that it has been like you're removing that physical contact, but you're still in contact with everyone just as much, if not more, and sometimes. In the workplace, it is a little bit difficult to sort of schedule meetings because everyone does get so busy. But it does allow the flexibility to be able to just, you've got a bit of time, they've got a bit of time, you can do it rather than having the time pressure of everything else that's going on.
Okay. Cameron, do you want to, I guess, talk a little bit about your time, about how you, I guess I'm more interested in the before COVID, pre-COVID, right? How does the physical interaction with your group, right, help you with physical interaction with people in your workplace when you first started your job?
A lot of it comes down to sort of the communication. It's like you learn all these soft skills at uni, and how to work in a group and how to effectively manage your time, and so be able to communicate with everyone, so everyone is on the same page. And so it's a lot of those soft skills that do transfer into the real world workplace.
All right. Thank you, Cameron. I believe it's 11 o'clock now. I should really maybe show you one last slide. Is that right, Katie? We would like to share.
Yeah, but just before you show that,
okay,
a 30-second answer from anybody that's involved in this. Are there social media groups that our students can get involved in to be part of the student community, I guess? I know they can find out more at orientation, but just from our 3 student and alumni panelists, do you have any recommendations on groups to get involved in on social media?
Yeah, I might jump in. I'm on MES, which is the Mechanical Engineering Student Society, and we've pivoted online this SEM, obviously due to the circumstances, but we're trying really hard to, as you mentioned, keep this like group social element there. So a bit of a personal plug, but we have like a lot of stuff on our Facebook, and we're going to create Discord, which is the program I mentioned earlier. So essentially you can create channels and chat to people. We're going to create channels for different MECeng subjects and areas of interest. So you can join and chat to other people doing the masters who are either doing that subject or interested in things related to MECeng that you are. So essentially making friends that way. So that's something one of our initiatives actually that we're trying to get off the ground this semester. I think electrical engineering also does something similar. I think they have a Discord server as well. So from what I know, the committees are really trying to create more social groups like that to kind of create this community atmosphere until we can get back onto campus. But like everyone's very keen, as I suppose Cameron, Frank and I have all mentioned, to have that cohort. So it's not being lost just because we're all digital at the moment.
Fantastic. Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button there. I think we're at 11 o'clock now, and a lot of I'm sure all of you have to head off to other meetings and get back to your day. So I just want to say a really big thank you to you all for being a part of the panel this morning. I think everybody that's listening in can attest to all the information you've provided. That's been fantastic, and really given us an insight as what it might be like to be a student at the University of Melbourne. So obviously Shanton's gone now, but thank you to Cameron, Adrian and Frank, and thank you to Andrew. You've been a fabulous chair organising all these questions that are coming through. So we hope that we can see you all orientation for our attendees on the webinar today. So don't forget to come along. We'll let all the panelists get back to their work day and studies now.
Katie, I think there's one more slide, right, that you want.
Yes, sorry, one more slide before I send you away.
Yeah,
thanks for reminding me. What to do next? So did you want to take this one, Andrew, or do you want me to go through it?
You might as well finish it off, Katie.
Okay, so if you haven't already, you need to go to Get Started at Melbourne, and you can go through all of these steps here. If you're looking for any information on the advice for COVID-19 and what that means for your studies at the University of Melbourne, you can visit the website, which is that QR code just there. And if you're having any questions about your enrolment, or you can't get into your student account or those sorts of things, Stop One is the place to go for that. So all of those services are there and available to help you. But thank you for that, Andrew. So, all right. Our future students team are going to hang back and answer some more questions, but we'll let the panel go on with their day. So if you have any questions and you want to hang around, you can, but thank you very much to the panel.
Thank you. See you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so for those of you that are still here and still want to be involved with some questions, we do have our Melbourne-based team available to answer some of your questions, but just before that, might keep you on your toes a little bit, and I've just got a little bit of a poll. So it's only 2 questions, just to change things up a bit. So I'm just putting that, it should be up on your screen now, I hope. Yep, I can see people answering, so that's good. Lots of answers streaming in. We've still got 90 people online, so you all must have some questions that you want answered.
While we're waiting for that, Katie, are we able to, maybe Danielle, are you able to answer the question about the deadline again. I know Katie covered it at the start, or Katie covered it at the start, but we just had a Q&A, a question on the chat about the deadlines for transcripts.
Okay.
You're on mute.
Sorry, I wasn't on mute, but I didn't have my microphone working because I hadn't been using it. Yes, we have extended the deadline for providing final documents to meet conditions to the 31st of July for those who are having trouble getting final documents. We can't guarantee that if you get those documents in by then, you'll be able to start absolutely on Monday the 3rd of August, because that's a really tight turnaround. We do have the whole admissions team working that weekend to try to turn around all of those late documents. So we are allowing people to start a little bit late just for this semester. Normally we like people to start on the first day, absolutely, with no delays, because we don't want you to suffer in your studies. But we're allowing people to start a little bit late. So if you can get your documents in by the 31st of July, you can still commence this semester. But after that, it's case by case basis. If you can get them to us a couple of days later, we can hopefully still turn it around and get you starting this semester, but it's not a guarantee. So 31st of July is really our end deadline.
Thank you, Danielle. If anybody has any questions, you can pop them in the Q&A box, but also if you click the raise hand button, I can see that and I can turn your microphone on if you'd prefer to ask live, because it might be quicker than putting in the box. So, okay, so first question is about, I'm about to put you on, so you can ask your question.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I have a question about the enrollment. I found the conditional offer is about the enrollment. The deadline is 27th of July, but I haven't. Yesterday, my agency just submitted my full transcript, but I haven't got my full COE. So I guess maybe after I got the COE, it's very late. Probably if I start to enroll, probably I will later than 27th of the July. What happened? This enrollment will be closed. How can I enroll? How can I choose a timetable? So these are my questions.
Yeah, so I meant to cover this when I was talking about satisfying your documents as well. So, of course, that enrolment deadline will also be extended for those who aren't able to get their COE and enroll by the 27th. So we will extend it for students who are able to accept their offer and get their COE by sort of as late as even the end of the first week. Because usually it does take us at least sort of 5 to 10 business days to send a COE after you've got your unconditional offer and accepted the unconditional offer. But we are trying to, we will be trying to do that a lot faster, for those last minute ones.
So,
but yes, you will be able to enroll after the 27th.
So this means although I'm later than 27th, I still have a chance to enroll. This enroll system still can be open for us, right?
Yep, absolutely.
As well as the timetable system is same.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, so
also
in a normal semester. Yep.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, in a normal semester, even then you can still change subjects. So you can, change subjects up until the end of like the 3rd week. So that's why we're able to sort of manipulate a little bit for this semester and allow people to start a little bit late.
Also, the orientation, Jackie, did you have some information on if students aren't, how do they attend orientation if they haven't satisfied everything? Can they still do that, or what happens?
Sure. So I think there was also a question about, is orientation face-to-face or is it online? So everything is online. No one is on campus at the moment. As you can tell, we're all at home. So if you go to the orientation website, that would have been linked in your offer letter. The program is listed there. For students that are already admitted to the course, you can register for sessions through the My Uni Life app. which is a separate app you would need to download on your phone. For students who are not admitted into a course or enrolled in subjects, unfortunately you can't access that app until you are admitted. So if you are waiting on your unconditional offer, we will be recording all of those orientation sessions and posting them on that website within 48 hours of the session. So if you check back on Wednesday, the 29th of July, or possibly the following day, the Thursday, they should all be up there for you to be able to access, even though you are still waiting to be admitted to your course.
Thanks, Jackie. There's a lot of internship questions coming through, and I imagine as you continue through your studies, there's also going to be a lot of internship questions. We have a team in Melbourne School of Engineering of 4 full-time staff members who can help you with all your internship needs. So whether that is you're self-sourcing the internship and you might need some help just to make sure that everything is legal and okay to do, then they can help you with that. But they can also help you source an internship as well. So the team run workshops that could be helping you update your LinkedIn, helping with interview preparation, running mock interviews, helping you write your CV, helping you with your application. So there is so many resources available to help you, and you'll learn more about that at orientation as well. But we're here to help you prior to starting your studies, but also once you're in your studies and when we're back on campus, you'll probably see us around. So you can always ask us a question and we can help you as well. I'm just looking to see what other questions are coming through, but if you wanted to pop your hand up, I can allow you to talk through the microphone if you don't want to type. Otherwise, feel free to type your questions in the chat box that we're moderating as well.
And I might just answer a quick one that I saw, sorry. Just about orientation sessions clashing or being at the same time. You will see that there's a Meet Your Course Coordinator session, and they are all at the same time, but you only need to go to one. So you just need to go to the one for your course.
And what I was going to say on internships, further to what Katie was saying, is that internships can be Australian-based companies, but in many occasions they can also be in your home country or in another country. And so we have, of course, a checklist to go through to make sure that it's meeting the course requirements, as well as it's a safe environment for you to do the internship in, whether or not you know, it is a normal time and you're doing it at the company or doing it virtually from your home. But yeah, there's many different opportunities that aren't just linked to Melbourne only.
Mon, you've got more questions coming
Katie,
through.
do you mind if I, so someone has said, for deferring, sorry, I've just lost it. For subjects enrolling at this point, I'm wondering, do we have to pick subjects for the whole year, which means 50 credits for each semester, semester 2, 2020 and semester 1, 21, or is this for this semester only?
Who would like to take this one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you go, Min.
Oh, I was going to say this semester only, because we have to wait for the handbook to be published for the next one. So by that year, they mean the academic year, as opposed to the full calendar from when you start onwards. So you're just looking at semester 2 subjects right now, and then later in the year, you'll be picking semester 1 and semester 2 for next year. That's a very good question.
There's
And
another
just
one.
to further to that, I'll just say the handbook usually goes live in November for the next year. So that's when you can see the process for next year.
There's another one, Mim, about visa. I know that you have a bit of an update on that, but would I be able to enrol in my subject straight away once I accept the unconditional offer? Or do I have to get my visa before I can do so?
Yeah, sure. That's a very good question. So some people are able to get Australian visas at the moment, but it's with a condition that you can't travel until the borders open anyway. So you do not need an Australian visa to study online with an Australian university. So the general advice now is enroll in your subjects. Don't start to get your visa just yet. and you can start to apply for your visa a little bit later, either when there's some more advice from the Australian government, or if you want to start that process now, you can as well, but you do not need a visa to study with us online right now.
So I've just seen a question based on for Commonwealth supported places. Based on the current circumstances, if we consider applying for a leave of absence for future semesters, will it have an impact on our Commonwealth supported place? And the answer is no. If you are enrolled in a Commonwealth supported place, you've been offered one and you've accepted it, that will remain a Commonwealth supported place, regardless of whether you defer or take a leave of absence.
Thank you. Sorry, I was on mute. I was saying Alice would like to ask a question. So Alice, I have unmuted you now, so you can ask that question. Nope. Alice? Okay, I can't hear you, so maybe she's...
It still looks, oh, there we go, unmuted. Still looked like she was on mute.
Did we answer Tristan's question yet? I think we probably have at some point during the conversation about internships, but I'll just reiterate, he's just said, what if I source an internship myself? I think we probably have, but anyway. If you source an internship yourself, you can either do it not for credit, and a lot of people want to do that because they want to use their subject credits to take other electives or potentially to do a research project. But if you source it yourself, you can also apply for it to be considered for credit. So there are lots of different options in the internship space.
I have seen a question from Chloe about English language proficiency. I'm not quite exactly sure. So if you just to cover off, you do need to have your English language evidence of completing your English language ticked off in order to get your unconditional offer. However, just what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type my email address to answer that question for you, just to check in case you have any additional information, because as you could see from the slides, the English language conditions have changed somewhat during COVID to be able to extend the validity of some existing tests. So that way we can just have a bit of a one-on-one conversation about that.
Can I say there was one, Katie, there's one to say in my timetable, is there a way to not show the subject's preference options, which is conflict with my already enrolled subject? Was that already answered previously?
I'm just making sure I'm not on mute. So that's a good question. Does anybody have any insight into the timetabling?
I guess what I would say is my understanding is that we've introduced a new preference system this semester. So it is new. So it works quite differently to previous semesters, which was more of a first come, first served arrangement. So the feedback that we've heard is really positive, that this is, you know, students are really happy to have a preference system. But it does mean that we are not really expert in how it all works. So I would suggest, if you have questions around timetabling, to contact Stop One. If you just Google Stop One Uni Melb contact, they have a page with lots of different ways to contact them, including live chat, or you can call them or submit an email. I'd say live chat would probably be your quickest way to get an answer. But they can help with those sorts of timetabling inquiries, just because we haven't actually seen the system ourselves, so difficult to answer.
I can actually give a little bit of an insight, because my partner is currently studying at Melbourne Uni, and I was helping her with her timetable previously. And the system is quite nice to use. I think it does give you a chance to put in as much, you give it as much information as possible, and then if you do that, then it gives you a better chance of getting a timetable that fits in together, and it will make sure that there are no conflicts. But That being said, you also have up until I think the 20th of August to make any changes to your timetable if needed, and that's what that Stop 1 team is there to help you out with. Hope that helps.
There is a question from a couple of people about meeting with other classmates and the other people, seniors who are doing the same majors, and how to communicate, how they are communicating at the moment now that we are all online. Danielle, do you want to make a comment? I think it's probably been covered by Shanton and Andrew in the group, but there are platforms individual to subjects, is that right? Canvas they use and other platforms. So
Yes,
once you've enrolled in subjects, you'll receive communication from your academics and they will advise you whatever platform that they're using. Would that be? Has anyone got anything else to add to that?
Again, I happen to know somebody who is a student, which does help out a little bit. And I think what Monica's just said is 100% correct. Like that's a great starting place for all these conversations is those discussion boards. They're really active, and it's a great chance to sort of get a feel for your classmates in the academics and things like that. But you're not limited to that. I mean, the panelists earlier were talking about the way they've been organizing themselves. It could be via social media platforms or Microsoft Teams. And then there's also the clubs and the extracurricular activities that were mentioned. There's the MSc Experience Series. That is a great opportunity to, I guess, meet some of your classmates virtually at the moment, outside of that purely academic or subject context. And it really gives you a chance to interact with others who are studying the same courses as you or could be in a different year to you and things like that. So hope that helps a little bit.
So I think that's covered that question that we've got here regarding specifically Master of Engineering Structures Facebook group. I think you've just got to look around with, you know, on Facebook, but also once you are connected and enrolled in your subjects, you'll be able to communicate and find out those different ways to join groups, whether it's social media or more formally through the university platforms.
We have about 5 minutes left, so there's a question that I'm going to ask you, Jackie. So there's a question about CSPs that I read for domestic students from other Australian universities, there's not guaranteed Commonwealth supported place and they need to achieve 80% average in their first year or first 100 points of studies to qualify for the CSP fees because they are offered on a competitive basis. Could you please confirm or correct my understanding?
Yeah, sure. We have a limited number of Commonwealth supported places, and so normally not everybody gets one. So students that are offered a full fee place, that comment that you quoted there, that's actually in the offer letter. So I'm not sure if that's where you may have read it. So yes, we do then recognise that we'd like to award high achieving students who didn't get a Commonwealth supported place if they are doing well in their studies with us. However, this semester we have had enough places to offer all domestic students a Commonwealth supported place. So if you're asking that question because you don't have a Commonwealth supported place offer, that please get in contact with us, because we have checked numerous times that we made sure everyone got one, but yeah, just let us know if there's been some sort of mix up and we can fix that.
Can I just jump in there, because I did have a question from someone before about Commonwealth supported places who I think was in one of our specialised masters. So just to reiterate that Commonwealth supported places are only available in the professional masters programs. So that's the Master of Engineering, Master of Information Technology, Master of Information Systems, and Master of Computer Science. So if you're in one of our 1 year or 1.5 year, so energy systems or engineering structures or Master of Environmental Engineering, there are no Commonwealth supported places available in those courses.
Okay, we have a couple more questions that are coming through, but maybe we can provide a text response to them because we need to wrap up the live webinar. So thank you everybody for your answers now. I feel like it's been a really great panel with our Future Students team as well as our current students, alumni and academics. We will get to those questions now for you, but if you have any other questions that we haven't answered, you would have received an invitation via email to this event, so you can respond to that email and we can answer those questions that way. Otherwise, some of them might be more relevant to orientation, so feel free to take them along to those sessions as well. But we will just be here for 5 more minutes to answer those questions for you. We're just going to pop off screen so it doesn't look like we're looking down at our other screens or that sort of thing. So thank you for staying with us, and I hope that you've taken a lot of information away from this.